What's up? What's up, everybody? How
Yo,
you
yo,
doing,
yo,
Charles? Welcome back to another edition of Geektastic Sci-Fi. Doom,
yo.
folks. The world's on fire, but hopefully for the next 90 or 85 minutes, whatever it may be, we can help you get through some of the depression. Because I don't know about y'all, but I am not loving what we are seeing.
I thought you were gonna make a reference to All-Star, but I guess not. I guess it's too real.
So-
Smash Mouth, All-Star.
What do you mean?
My world's on fire. How about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored.
No, I did. No, yeah, that's if anything, I don't want to sing the songs about how bad it is.
Somebody.
But he pass away recently too?
Yeah, he did.
Jesus. He passed away. Suzanne Summers passed away at 76 and Richard Roundtree passed away at 81. Yeah. It's a very, very unfortunate series of losses in this short period of time. Condolences to all their families, and figure we get that out of the way, start the show off.
For just one shout out, I really, although that some of those are like obvious, like sometimes things happen, I was surprised how shocked I was when Susan passed away, and how much it oddly was like a genuine feeling if that sucks, even though she hadn't been on for years.
I mean, I was shocked that the dude from Smash Mouth passed away.
Wait, say what? Is there something I don't know?
The lead singer
from Smash Mouth passed away
a few.
Yeah, if you think Suzanne Summers was a shock, the lead singer was Smash Mouth. I did not expect. I didn't think he was. I don't even know what he passed away from, but
because I know he wasn't doing. I know for at one point in time, like many artists, they go through emotional things.
He passed away actually over a month ago.
Really,
September 4th, 2023.
But passed away, or did he? But I mean, like, did he commit suicide or did he pass away? Is what I'm trying to ask. I wasn't trying to say that directly.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
From what I remembered, I was watching something about it on YouTube, and they said he had stopped performing live basically because I think he had some substance abuse or just a big drinking problem and stuff like that.
Yes, he actually sadly passed away from liver failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah. Maybe we stop doing this death segment. I feel like it's not.
No, we have to give the shout out. It's just that maybe not.
I want it.
Like, if anything, you guys can do it. I'll join the show after. But I don't want to talk about death at the top of the show every week, and it's every week someone's dying.
Well, we won't lie. 2022 and 2023, a little rougher compared. Like, we've been doing this show for a while, and we never had this. You know what I mean?
It's just constant now, which is the like.
It's like no more joy.
And already with everything else going on, you're just like, I think if anything, the one that hit us the first time really, really hard was probably Uncle Phil passing away, because I'll never forget that one. But then it's just like subsequently, like every single week, we're just like, I can't do it, guys. I just want to, like, I don't know, man.
For me, I don't remember how far back it was, but I feel when this started happening, it's not to say this one's the most tragic or whatever. It was what is it? The fake stints, the fake stunt guy, Dave Osborne. That's his name.
Super Dave Osborne.
When Super Dave Osborne passed, I feel like that was the time where I was like, oh, someone passed away last week. That's kind of sad. And I feel like I've had that feeling. Yeah, I think that was technically beginning of 2022. So my statement from before technically says
no, I think it's just called getting old. And you're just noticing it. That's it. I think when you're a kid,
facts.
I think when you're a kid, you don't really notice it, and you're noticing your parents like checking out stuff in the obituary. Oh, you know who passed away? So and so. Oh no. Oh, blah 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 blah. But I think it's just the fact of getting old, and you're noticing
the curse of the elder millennial is what is. That's what it is. This is what every generation goes through, and they just.
Is this what the golden years are?
No, not like the only reason The only reason I would put this stuff, I don't know where to put it in the show, the beginning, the end, or whatever.
I'm saying don't put it.
I just want to shine light on the stuff the stuff that Dave put out there in the world, And and if that includes us, going back to watch, Richard Roundtree passing away, we go back and watch Shaft.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of
Right.
him playing Shaft or Samuel L. Jackson playing Shaft, and Shaft
Right.
is his dad, or the sadly not great sequel to that Shaft, where he's in it as well, and it's 3 generations of Shafts in it. Just
You know what it is?
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, wasn't he the nerdy kid? It's like the nerd kid
Yeah.
is the 3rd generation of Shaft.
yeah.
But I feel like there's a certain duty to do that, because as many people say, I shouldn't say everyone, but as many people say, a person never really dies if people still tell stories or remember them, right? And I feel that they're the ones that we go out of our way to mention, because there are people, it's like, you have done enough good in this world to make people content.
Yeah.
That you have that extra, that you deserve that little extra.
If anything, maybe the idea is more we do it for people that are lesser known. So because I can't imagine anyone didn't know about Richard Roundtree or Suzanne Summers. I'm shocked you didn't know about Steve from Smash Mouth.
Actually, I know why now. It's because the date that Wendell said.
September 4th?
I was legit when I was on my honeymoon, which was from August 31st to 18th. I literally did not go on my phone.
Right.
Like if I did go on my phone and I actually got onto the internet, I was like, okay, who's like what message group or whatever? I'm gonna just check it on to see if there's something funny to look at quickly.
Yeah,
like
movie news or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was not really like scouting or looking at like the regular things I would do, So
yeah. I think I'm just at a point where I'm like, it's just like a lot to always constantly be every single week. It's just like I get it.
It's
a
natural part of life, man.
Sure. It's just we're a geek podcast that talks about entertainment, and it would be more fun to talk about that than constantly reminding people, by the way, this other famous actor that you loved, they passed.
This other thing that brought you joy, gone.
Yeah.
And also to bring it back to Suzanne Summers, 1/3 of the cast of Three's Company, or 1/4. I think some people might count the landlord as the 4th character. Yeah. And also she was the mom on Step by Step, which was kind of like a more modern take of the
only
the
one
Brady Bunch in a little way.
Yeah, it was the you me. What is it? Yours and mine. How do they say it? Yours, mine, and ours type thing.
Yeah,
that's one where there's multiple.
Oh yeah, that's it. Like they've done multiple versions of the Brady Bunch type thing.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting was like I was looking up the character Cody this weekend from Step by Step, cousin Cody.
Yeah.
And like just the amount of people are still commenting on these clips of Step by Step from like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, a month ago. Like people still have a lot of fondness for that show and that character, because that character was basically the Michelangelo of that series. Basically like even though he seemed like a burnout living in a van, like he was very kind of wise beyond his years. He was like a master kickboxer and stuff like that. And just, he was, just a cool dude, just kind of helping out his family and all that.
Didn't he get in trouble though?
Yeah, the actor did. The actor.
Yeah,
for sure.
The actor didn't. It wasn't the actor like arrested for some shit.
Yeah, like even the comments said like the actor's a shithead, but Cody's pure.
That's like the same thing for Hyde.
Yeah.
I mean,
was Hyde pure? I don't know.
Hyde long term. If you watch the whole show, he's technically he's a dick, maybe.
Yeah.
But he's the most loyal out of the whole group.
How is he? Whoa, no. Okay, I don't even. You're not loyal. You're not loyal if you try and sleep with your best friend's girlfriend. That's not loyal. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, but I said grown. Not that's at the big. Okay. You're like saying season 1 stuff. You guys,
I don't want to talk about people that have been charged with rape and domestic abuse. We already talked about death. Here's the thing that I don't want to talk about: all the crap. This is what I'm saying. Do you see what this has led us to? Talking about death led us to talking about someone who's in jail for multiple assaults, sexual assaults, and the other one is a domestic abuse psychopath. Let them all burn in hell, and let's talk about far more interesting things.
So, mentioning crap, Dragon Ball Demai.
What an unfortunate transition. I'm going to let you guys discuss that because I don't know any. You know what? If anything, we should talk about Iron Claw first because that's also about suicide and death. Let's get all that out of the way right off.
well, besides Iron Claw, which is the Von Erich story.
Yes.
I just saw that trailer right before the show. That looks like actually really, if it's as good as the trailer is, because sometimes they do things and it's not as good as the trailer is.
Right.
But if it's as good as the trailer is, I'm actually very interested to see that. And I did not think I would get that feeling from seeing, even though I like wrestling, Von Erichs were never my jam, and Zac Efron, Lord, he wasn't my jam. And I'm like, this isn't bad.
I think one of the things I'm more interested in is why is this family important enough to make a movie about? Like, I feel like there's a lot of wrestling families that are on the same level as these guys, and no one's making movies about them or getting as famous stars for them.
I think it's because with this family, they were really big in their specific territory,
right?
And they were kind of seen as being like the next like dynasty to kind of come in and really push it to the next level and everything like that. But it's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. It's just really sad to see what ended up happening in the end. And there was like, I've seen memes where like it's like people looking like interested, like, oh, you know, non-wrestling fans watching this trailer and they're like, oh, okay, that looks pretty good. And then wrestling fans watching the trailer like, oh god, I'm gonna call in sick tomorrow because it's gonna be a rough watch, because if you know what happens,
I mean, yes, I don't think I'm calling in sick to work, but sure.
But I'm saying if you're a wrestling fan, you're like, oh man, there was so much promise with these guys, and just tragedy after tragedy, you know. So
I fully understood what you meant. I still think that even if I loved wrestling as much as anyone, seeing a multiple loss of an entertainment franchise dynasty, I would not need to take.
I mean,
mental health.
I was gonna say, you say that, but we see how people lose their minds over the DCU.
Do people
DC
take
universe?
Like, for example,
movies.
The equivalent for me would be the day Spock passed away, and I didn't take that day off. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well
I still went to my 9 to 5.
All right.
But I'm just saying, like the memes, like I'm just saying the memes and the jokes, that wrestling fans kind of share is the whole like, it's still real to me, damn it, and like it sounds really stupid and silly, like outside of the context of non-wrestling fans. But when you're a wrestling fan, you're like, I agree with that man. That man speaks for everybody.
but I also think
heart and soul.
But I also think to add on to Brian's original question, which was like, why this family?
Yes, very much.
This would be one of the families. So as Wendell was saying, they were very big in their territory, but they became cross-territorial. They were in multiple important promotions, multiple they have stories in each promotion that they're in, right? Like it's not like, oh, you just had the Von Erichs. We had the Von Erichs, and they had like these good storylines and all this type of stuff. But it would truly be one of the first OG family like dynasties that were set, because you have to understand the Von Erichs, if I'm not mistaken, they were set up in like late 70s and the 80s type of thing. Like that's when they were prominent, right? But if you were to think of other ones, like example, if you think the Hearts, for example.
Thank you. I just want to bring up that. I feel the only reason the Von Erichsons got this is because there was multiple suicides, and that's something Hollywood likes to tell stories about. Because the Hearts have just as much importance in the industry and are still mostly alive, and they didn't get a movie.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. That's also an added point. Like, you're telling a story without a family to really, you know. Like, I think that's part of the reason why I'm just adding that too.
As in, it's also easier because no one can counteract what's being said.
Exactly, and no one's going to challenge you. Like, you know, you're gonna offer a family. Can I tell your story and give them a bunch of money about your family that's passed away that did this legacy, and you're trying to honor them? They're for sure 90% of the time they're going to say yes. To add on to that,
hopefully
with the Hearts, the problem with the Hearts is for sure a lot more. It would be definitely hard to get the rights for the Hearts, because specifically Owen Hart's wife, like, she has his stuff like on the tightest box. Like, they released only DVDs about him like 20 years after his passing, because people were like, yo, fans are still doing it. It's not about the company. Fans want to see him. They want to see him. Like, he's done a lot. Like, you know.
And I hope every family that has a legacy has someone who protects the legacy as much as she did. Whether or not the fans want access, if she didn't feel like it was the right time, she's the keeper of that legacy. Yeah. She does get the right to control it.
Of course. But also for the Von Erichs, it's a closed story, more or less.
Right.
Like, whereas like the Hearts, for example, they're still going. The Roads,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
still going.
Ain't nobody gonna counter people. Like, yeah, if they're all already kind of not with us, then no one's gonna be like,
That's
hey,
my
you
thing.
can't say that.
We're
like,
getting
think about it this way. I think there was two biopics about what's his name? What's his name? Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix.
Mhm.
And
Right.
one was authorized by the family and the other one
Right.
wasn't. So the one
Right.
that wasn't authorized by the family, they couldn't really say his name, they couldn't use his music, they couldn't really delve into super deep
Yeah,
things
same
about
thing
his
with
life.
like Aaliyah. They have that for Aaliyah. Like it, all those.
Same with Bohemian Rhapsody, where they don't go into Freddie's life, like, you know,
Right.
homosexual life or anything like that. And
Right.
whenever they do talk about anybody in his life, that's his romantic relationship, they completely cut out the whole gay part. And he said that
Yeah.
if you talk about my life, talk about the whole thing. I don't give a crap. Talk about the whole. I lived the whole life. Talk about everything, good, bad, ugly. I don't give a crap. And that's why Sacha Baron Cohen left that project, because the Queen was like, no, this story's about us as a band.
Right.
And it's like, no one gives a crap about they care about Freddie.
Yeah, I see this trailer and I see the actors attached to it, and I'm just like, cool, but why this family? Like, as a wrestling fan, this family has done some cool stuff, sure, but why this specific family over any other family? Like, even before The Rock got famous, didn't his family do way like how
Yeah.
many like
I
that
think you
family
had-
has
I think
so
you had
many wrestlers
Big
in it.
Chief. I think you had Big Chief that people kind of remember, but that was like very specific. I don't think he was in WWF back in that far back day.
Right.
As
I
far as
think
enough of the head shrinkers, they could go pretty far
Yeah.
back with that family.
I mean, like, I think if you're gonna watch about that family, I think you're more like, okay, when we're gonna get to The Rock, like we don't want. I don't think everyone's looking at
still
Haku
very
and all
active.
those guys and Yokozuna and all that guy. You know,
Yeah.
I think they would probably, and you're kind of getting that with Young Rock anyway.
They canceled that.
I'm saying before Young Rock, if
Mhm.
you're gonna make a movie, and I'm looking at those two families, and I have a story about four guys where there's multiple suicides, or I have a family that is at this point 12 to 15 wrestlers deep. Am I off?
No, not at all.
No, about that's a good.
Me and we're on the third generation of the family.
And that's just counting WWE.
No, well,
We're on the third
Yeah,
generation.
yeah,
I
I
think
get-
it's
well,
just because
the-
people like, I think it's a certain generation, a certain elder generation knows these guys, and they know that there's a good story that you can kind of, like Dave was saying, succinctly tell. Because I mean, you're saying like, oh, why don't you do it about any family? Okay,
No,
what's that
whoa,
story going to be?
No,
Rewind.
he
Like,
said
I didn't
another
say that.
legendary family.
I'm literally saying a legendary family that has three generations. There are multiple stories you can tell. You can pick whatever path you want. I'm not saying just any old wrestler. We're talking about some of the most famous wrestlers and their legacy versus a family that unfortunately is cut short. Hollywood likes to celebrate death. They do. We know it.
I think-
So that's why it's, for me, it's unfortunate to see, oh, this family that went through multiple traumas and suicides, let's tell that story, but not tell any other story. That to me seems like an old and unfortunate
I
trope.
don't. I think it's just that you can say the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Boom, you got the family name.
I thought they didn't all wrestle.
I don't think with The Rock, it's specifically
No,
Maivia. I think there's
it would
Maivia,
be
and I think there's a bunch
Aoa.
of other
I
families
think you
along
say
with that.
Aoa family. That's what it would have to
they
be.
have a family name?
I don't think it's all the same family name.
Yeah, but they have
'Cause-
but there's a general term for that family circle, which is the I can't say it properly. I'm butchering the name. I apologize.
Annoy.
Yeah,
I know.
And they actually
Annoy.
technically, because I think it was Rock's grandfather, his dad, him, and his daughter technically is a wrestler.
So they're on the fourth generation.
Like technically, that would be the end of the movie.
but
the
I
end of
was
the movie
saying-
would be
But
like,
but I'm
going
saying, like, whenever we watch any of these movies, so like Ray or this or that, like, let's just say Walk Hard, there always has to be a tragic part and then a rise, and then, you know, like you have to have a come
Hero's
up and
journey.
down kind of thing.
Yeah,
so I mean,
they have that with, they would have that with the Hart family. They actually do have that with
guys, that's what I'm saying.
The Owen
I'm
multiple
saying
versions
if you're,
of this
if you're
could happen.
trying to market, and like, I feel like this movie is really trying to be more like we're gonna sneak in for the Oscars kind of thing. You know, like I don't think these guys are bulking up and really trying to like. I know Zac Efron is trying to act. He's really putting himself out there and really.
Hey, like I said, Hollywood likes death, and
plus,
literally
I
most of the Skinny makes the face, but I'm not like when I saw which family they picked, I was just like, of all the wrestling I know of, you picked this family. Like this is one of the most. This is like Bruce Lee cursed, JFK Kennedy cursed type family. These people have lost so much. You want to say it again, Josh? Let's repeat what Hollywood focuses on. Say it again.
But I'm agreeing with that.
No, but just say that part. What did you say when I said it?
There's a lot of good movies about that.
Hollywood loves a good death movie. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, and also on top of that, I mean, like, what kind of death movie would you do about the Rock's family? Oh no, Yokozuna,
you don't have to do the death movie. That's my point.
He got big and he died. He died of a heart attack, and the whole family came together. I'm
literally saying, I'm saying, stop doing the death movie. You don't have to kill or have suicides to tell good stories. Hollywood only.
I don't know, man. It works for Disney. It works for Disney.
Nah, Disney. The parents already. Man. Disney. The parents are already dead.
Either one's dead, both's dead, one's about to die.
They already be
I'm just saying,
you can't break a good formula, man.
Yeah, there you go, guys.
My beef.
The title of the episode: Death can't break a good formula. There we go.
True. My whole thing is, why did you pick a wrestling family? Like, okay, I don't mind territory wrestling because it is interesting how they did the territory and it was super kayfabe, all that stuff. But like, excuse me. My French, these niggas didn't even have special moves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least, like, moves were like a drop kick.
The thing. They're so
this
OG.
is before DDT. What are we talking about?
This is because but that's how OG they are. That's why they want to do it because
I think the fact that we can't fathom that. That's how far beyond. That's how old the wrestling is. That's like, imagine that
lose with like, by an arm bar.
Young people just can't. What wrestling super moves? You mean you don't have a suit? What do you mean you don't have a finisher? How does the match end?
Oh, you just beat him to a pulp? Oh, okay.
You just power slam him, or disqualification happens, or people start throwing things into the ring because people would throw things into the ring back in the day.
They had to work back then. They were really. I couldn't be in territory wrestling. I was. All them Coco Beware, they're brave people.
Coco Beware. That's where he gets. That's where you're going.
Well, I don't know, but I don't need. Farouk was in the territory wrestling, and I'm not. You have to be tough.
No, you have to go back further. Like you would have to do Tony Atlas and The Rock's dad.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do
that.
Are
telling them, hey, you got to be careful when you go to specific areas. That
where they actually needed the guy.
I mean. Any story you're gonna do is gonna be sound sad, man. It's gonna sound sad, man. I mean, you want happy all the way happy?
No. Whoa. Again, I don't need happy. I just don't want the first major Oscar attempt for wrestling story that is set in the reality of the real world, not the wrestler with Mickey or any other story.
That was a fair story, but
right. But it's not it's a fiction. It's not based on someone. Yeah. We're now telling a story about a family. We have so many wrestling legacies, and we pick which family do we pick? We have the Harts over there. We have the Rock's family. We have the Rhodes family. We have this family. You know what? Let's do the one where half of them commit suicide. The dad has problems, is abusive. Let's do that family because that's the one that will get us. Guys, we want to get Zac Efron his big ass trophy, and let's get him one where he loses all his brothers to suicide. Hollywood.
Is he the only surviving one? Is he playing the surviving one, or what? Like, is there any surviving ones? Like,
I thought the whole family.
Did they all commit suicide?
I thought they all passed, or like one died in an accident, and then some of them got into drugs. I thought it was just the whole family murdered.
Oh man, Flint mode. Hold on, let's do this.
That's what I said. The meme is wrestling fans that know are just like, oh boy, it's gonna be a tough watch.
I can't with Hollywood. Hollywood is so.
Remember, we're still on this, and remember our first talk. You didn't want to talk about sad stuff.
No. The reason I continued is specifically because I think Hollywood likes death, and I'm making that point through everything we've talked about and this specifically.
Yeah, because death sells.
Yeah. Sex and death.
People want to feel something, man.
Yeah, I can feel something without watching people blow their brains out. I don't know about you, but
I don't think they're actually going to show it.
You would put it past them for an Oscar?
I think they would move it aside, and then you get the blood splatter, but you won't see them with the.
Nah, this isn't Supernatural. They're going to show some shit.
Nah, Kevin's the last surviving one, but yeah, these guys pop themselves with 9mm and all sorts of shit. Like, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hollywood. Why you want to film that for? What? Hollywood.
You know what, Hollywood? I challenge you to tell a story without someone, an Oscar-worthy story, without someone just blowing their brains out for you.
Nope.
Challenge.
Can't be
Go
done.
ahead.
Can't be done.
Oh, would
Good
you do
luck.
that? That doesn't sound fun to Hollywood.
It's not even the writers, because I'm sure writers are writing scripts where that shit doesn't happen.
If the best movie in the world is Godfather, then nope.
Ooh, I don't know if Godfather is the best movie in the world.
According to the AFI, the American Film Institution, it's either Godfather or Star Wars. Somebody's getting murked. Either a whole planet is getting murked, or
I will go out on a big limb and say Goodfellas is way better than Godfather.
No, but I think if you look up best 100 movies, I think Godfather, and it's between Godfather and Star Wars.
Quick question: how many of the people on that committee are white men? Just an idea, just to get us.
White man or a Wookiee?
This boy
or a Wookiee.
I don't even know what the fuck you say.
I mean, Star Wars is up there, man. They're just
there's just a Wookiee with a freaking crossbow in someone's back.
Wookiee, exactly. yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, you're
That's
right.
the
Chewie,
sound of the gun and the sound he makes. Oh my god, I love how ridiculous.
Imagine you're at a board meeting and a Wookiee pull up on you with a crossbow. I do not want to go to.
It's like, is this guy gonna wear pants? No, he's got a bandolier. He's good.
Wookiee with a crossbow, also fantastic. Oh my god. All right, so now that we've gotten through the crap, Scott Pilgrim trailer, cool. Go check it out. Squid Games, the challenge reality TV trailer, cool. Go check it out.
Actually, is that supposed to be a real, like, actual reality TV show, or like an American version of the show?
No, it's a reality TV show. Actually, I was gonna say don't watch it because supposedly the contestants said they were all treated like crap. So,
well, I mean,
like the Squid Game.
Squid
Okay.
Games.
No.
So it's like a real show, not a new show.
It's a reality TV show. And yes, are you guys saying that because you signed up for a reality TV show inspired on a shitty game, you should expect to be treated poorly?
No, I'm saying, like, if the game is designed to be in such a way that it's like it is, then, you know, it's part of the vibe and ambiance that you decide to sign up for. I mean, that's what you're doing, right?
I like that
that's...
Dave said, and then trailed off because there was nothing else to add.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know what I should do? I should be in a reality game show that's based off of the Squid Game. Did you watch Squid Game?
Yo, that's exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yo,
like,
man, that thing was crazy. Like, I didn't like it one bit.
It's like eating something you don't like and thinking, like, why do I hate this? You don't like it. Why would you eat it?
I would ask you guys to read the article, because what you're describing is that they had a bad experience doing the games. They didn't have a bad experience doing the games. They had a bad experience waiting to do the games, because they would sometimes be left outside for like 8 hours before filming would start and stuff like that. It's like, not the actual games.
Well, maybe the producers decide to do method acting of how they decide to run the show. Like, I don't know what you want to say.
I wonder if there was like.
I wanted to say Netflix sucks, but that's a whole other conversation.
I wonder.
But they don't suck completely, so I can't say that.
I wonder if there's some dude there and he's got like his coat on and everything. Like, where'd you get that coat from? I brought a coat. Why? Because, just in case they left us out for 8 hours. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You're supposed to provide that stuff. Well, I brought a coat. You must be mad that you didn't bring a coat. like Granddad in Boondocks.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
So Granddad said he was a part of the march and it wasn't as bad as everyone said it was. And then it cuts to him and he's like he went back home to get a raincoat, and it was like, yo, we're getting our asses eaten by dogs and everybody's like, well, I saw them using the hoses, so I went back home to get a raincoat and an umbrella.
Granddad,
you came to a march with a raincoat? Yeah, they clowned him.
Granddad was great. Granddad was great. But yeah, all this to say, if you want to watch it, go watch it. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. No one's forcing you to do anything you don't want to do here, folks. We are just delivering you the insanity that is the Netflix's idea. You know what?
Future.
Yeah, let's make a real version of a game show that we made money off of. Put up $4.56 million as the biggest cash prize ever offered.
Oh,
and
wow.
go forward. And
No
then
wonder
treat people the way we felt they needed to be treated to get the best performance out of them. I will agree with you.
Sorry, go on.
Dave, I will agree with you that reality TV shows intentionally treat contestants a certain way to elicit certain performances from them. So you're right. You know what? I will say, if you sign up for a reality TV show and get treated like shit, know that no one needs to warn you. They treat y'all like shit. That is intentional. They want you on edge so that when the camera turns on, you're already shaking and jittery and anxious.
If they're giving you $4 million, they don't want you to win that money.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing though. They have shows where you're treated slightly better, but the object of the show is for you to talk to a wall and potentially fall in love and have your shit completely fucked up. They have other shows where you decide to test your partner's love to get married by switching them.
Ultimatum, love is blind. Yeah.
And then
you're not making
relationships broken, scarred for life, but you have to sit 8 hours to potentially win $4 million.
You're not making a good case. You're not making a good case for Netflix.
The notes, the words of Merc from out don't necessarily reflect the ideas and thoughts of type of.
I like that.
Seriously.
I like that Dave is just like, Netflix isn't that bad, and then proceeds to list all the worst shows.
I didn't say all bad. I'm joining your bad wagon.
Did anyone?
But I'm not saying they have some good stuff.
Did anyone watch LaserHawk? I didn't get to watch
Laser
Hawk.
what? No.
What?
No, come on.
Don't tell me that's a hawk with a laser on its head. Fucking
No. Netflix released some like game, some animated show based on a game.
So remember, what was it called? Far Cry Dragon Blood?
I do not.
Remember that?
Yes, because I worked on that god piece.
So they made the guy that does the Netflix was it Castlevania? He also did an animated series that's sort of based on the blood dragon thing. So that's LaserHawk.
That's what LaserHawk is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yo.
So that's why you have
working on
that's
that
why you
shit
have
was
Rayman
a seizure. All right.
eating,
oh no.
That's why you have Rayman eating sushi off of a girl's like bare back and butt and everything.
Why is Cody Rhodes in it? That's the part I didn't understand. Cody Rhodes is an animated character in this thing, and I was like, what is happening?
This thing?
No,
just because I guess.
What laser
so random
show? Hold on, let me find this.
I just like that the internet is continues to just be randomness merged into stories. That's
our humor.
Yep, that's the internet now, guys.
Oh wow, they really made this a thing. These niggas, wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's like I couldn't get through the first episode because I just generally did not enjoy it. But when they're like breaking into one of the buildings, it goes into top view like a video game, and it's just them narrating, or I guess them talking in that scene. But because it's top down view, it's not as you can't really tell you're like, what's happening now? And it's like as if you're playing the game, watching them move through to not get seen by the guards, and them just talking the whole time. And you're like, this isn't a good stealth mission. You should have been sniped ages ago. Y'all are just talking out loud in these hallways. How are you not getting caught?
But did like Ubisoft produce this?
I think they did. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they did.
Cash grabbing ass. All right.
I mean, they've been doing that forever.
I mean, the animation itself looks fine.
The movie itself is based off another 80s something that they took kind of took it from, but like didn't. Right. The whole 80s vibe is based off something else.
Yo, question to y'all. Super off topic, and we will get to TFCon Orlando real quick. But do you guys find when they do flashbacks to the 80s in TV shows or all that stuff that these motherfuckers do not know what the 80s look like?
Yeah,
not at all.
The exception of that show that I don't watch. I haven't watched.
You have to give me a name. I don't.
Stranger Things.
Oh yes, that one. Yeah, Stranger Things is probably the closest to like, oh, this is what the 80s look like. And I'm like, yeah, this looks like the 80s.
The
Not
80s
this
looked
weird,
like the 70s, basically.
well, it just looked like it didn't look like a neon rainbow puked all over everybody, which is like we didn't like neon
That
was
was like
not
a
used
one
as
summer
much
at
as
best.
yeah, like
I think when we think about the 80s aesthetic, we think about Miami during the 80s, specifically Miami Vice, Miami. And
but you mean Hollywood does, not all of us.
yeah,
I don't
sorry.
think
Hollywood just
people
thinks of
reminisce,
Miami. Yeah.
whenever people reminisce and they want to do a shorthand, that's what they do. They do the neon lights. What's that song that you belong? They'll put the saxophone in there and to put that song in the background.
Right.
They'll put Blade Runner, even though Blade Runner was like the future, but still like that aesthetic. They'll definitely put in there.
Man of the Night type stuff.
Yeah, that's it. He's the.
I think the funniest part for me is when I think of the 80s, Murder She Wrote is more in line with the 80s than
the
Miami
80s
Vice.
was just hazards everywhere, like cigarette, ashtray in the door. That's a hazard.
Like the 80s was like not.
You want to know what the 80s was?
No handicap railings.
You want to know hazard. You want to know what the 80s was? The government shouldn't tell me to put on a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Wild metal like seatbelts.
I gotta go to one. The 80s is Gary Busey being an advocate for not wearing a helmet while riding a motorcycle and then getting into a motorcycle accident, getting serious head damage, and that's why we have current Gary Busey.
Oh no. But honestly, like
I mean, to be fair, if you're not a jerk to Gary Busey, I feel like he can be a nice guy, but you like just don't piss him off. Don't be a dick to him, you know.
Like when I think
through a lot.
Like Magnum PI is 80s, you know, and that wasn't neon. That was Hawaii. It was sunny. It's sunny. It's people on beaches. I get that. But like really, when you pointed out Miami Vice, I'm like, yeah, true. Miami Vice was maybe the one major neon pink shirt, white jacket, like brightness, but it wasn't even. I don't even think of it as the best show from the 80s.
No, but I think it really pushed forward that specific aesthetic. And then everyone kind of latched onto that aesthetic. So like when you were like, oh, I'm going to play GTA Vice City. Yeah, that's the 80s. You know, that's what you think because everyone's playing it. Everyone's, you know, doing all that stuff. And then that's what you think the 80s are, but they're not necessarily.
You know what it makes me think of? Hold on. I'm going to check something real quick to see if I'm not crazy.
Revisionist history.
Yeah. The reason. So for me, the aesthetic that they like adapt to the 80s makes me think of Saved by the Bell, which came out in the 90s.
Early 90s. Yeah. So all the time, like how the eras work is that they bleed into each other.
Right.
So some people are like, that didn't look like the 80s. The 80s look like this. And when you look at the 80s, it's like, oh, that looks like 70s.
Yeah.
So it looks like the 70s is happening.
Yeah, because sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, so I was gonna say the 80s was such a fluid decade though. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like well, yeah, because it hung on to the 70s. It was the birth of what would become the 90s look. Like in the last 2 years, like, you know, I found that the 80s, like the 80s was something that was always in constant flux. Because like, you know, you also had like cartoons were freaking amazing back then. So you had all sorts of like toys or whatever from the 80s.
Right.
You had the emergence of, I mean, not the emergence of, you had consoles, but you finally had at home. We have
gaming.
We have options of consoles and not ones that are like beep beep,
like two
beep
lines
little,
and a dot.
You know, so you're not playing fucking Pong here. You have Genesis, or sorry, Sega, which was Nintendo. I think did Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis come out in the 90s or in the
Sega Genesis? I think could have been late 80s, early 90s. Super Nintendo was definitely the 90s. So you would have the Sega Master System, which was before the Genesis, and the Nintendo Entertainment System around that time.
Yeah, so like it was just there was a lot of things that were changing then. So I found that it was always in a like even like technically wasn't the first real cell phone, even though it was that big ass block thing, wasn't that an 80s thing too?
Yeah.
Well, there's like car phones and cell phones in the 80s, and
because you would see people with cell phones that's this big brick, but then also they had to carry around the actual guts of the cell phone, and that was
wild.
Huge. No,
beautiful time. Beautiful time to be alive.
Really
okay.
to the roots.
Folks, we're gonna get into the View the Right Thing, and in this week, it's not even a View the Right Thing; it's a Be at the Right Place. Josh Z is gonna hit us with a little rundown of TFCon 2023 out of Orlando. Speaking of neon capital of the world, if ever there was a place where 80s like neon aesthetic is a pretend thing, it's Florida. So
I would say maybe like where I was in Orlando, it was more so for TFCon Orlando, it was more so in the resort area. And I think if you go more southern, down Florida, you would get to like Miami, and that's where all that.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of stuff
yeah. I was just making fun of Florida. As we
Well, yeah, Florida. It was really cool. So we had a bunch of guests. So the voice actor guests were Dan Gilvezan, who played G1 Bumblebee, and he also played Spider-Man in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in the 80s. Wow. So he was pretty cool. There was also David Sobolov. David Sobolov played Shockwave in Transformers Prime, Blitzwing in the Bumblebee movie, Depth Charge in Beast Wars, and he was the voice of Battletrap and Ape Link in Rise of the Beast. And another thing that was really interesting about him is that he is probably the only voice actor from Beast Wars to be in Rise of the Beast.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Gary Chalk was there. So Gary Chalk voiced Optimus Primal in Beast Wars and Beast Machines. He also voiced Optimus Prime in Transformers Armada, Energon, and the Cybertron series. He was also in a lot of animes done by Ocean Group. He was also in reboots. I think he played Turbo, if I remember right. One of the heads of the Guardian Corps, if I remember right, or the heads of the Guardians kind of thing. And he also plays, was it Hack or Slash he played? I remember he plays either Hack or Slash, and Gary Chalk, what's his name? Scott McNeil plays Slash, the other one.
Wait, Hack or Slash were the red and blue dudes?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
so he plays one of them.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Also, Richard Newman was
portfolio.
Yeah. Also, all of these guys have a really deep portfolio.
Yeah, true. Why am I even shocked? Yeah. Fantastic portfolios all around.
If you also Richard Newman was there. He plays the voice of Rhinox in Beast Wars. And no, I won't go into details about Beast Machines. He also played Vector Prime in Transformers Cybertron. Jeez. And the new guest that was there was Victor Caroli, and he was the Transformers Generation 1 narrator, and he was also the person that's did the bumpers for the commercials. So whenever you hear Transformers will be back after these messages, that's him. And we now return to Transformers, so that was him as well.
Yeah.
And what was really cool is that they did the script reading. So the script reading is basically the fans get to take part and participate in a script reading with the cast. So with all the voice actors that are there. So there's like a special script that's made, and then people audition for different voices that are available. And for the most part, all the cast reprises their role as their characters.
Yeah.
And so you basically get to act with those
that's so
voice
cool.
actors and stuff. And the script reading was really cool. It was so basically for Victor, this was his first convention ever. He had never done one before.
Okay.
And if you went to go get an autograph with him, his line was long because he has never done one before. But
of course.
Him and his wife expressed a lot of love that they felt at the convention. And when he did the script reading, it was really funny because the intro was done by one of the AV people. And then he kind of comes in, it's like he clears his voice and he says, "Excuse me, I think this is how you start a script reading." And then he does the narration for the whole script reading. And then even there's like mini jokes inside the script with other voice actors that have done bumpers and stuff like that. And then like when he did the narration at the beginning, at the end of it, everyone just cheers and claps, and we're all feeling super nostalgic and giddy because he's like, he still has it. It's still his voice. He's still there, kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. Other guests was Bud Budiansky. If you ever watched The Toys That Made Us, and you saw the Transformers episode, and I think there's another one, Transformers versus Robots. I think there's a sequel to that or something like that. He was there. Super awesome guys. Super nice. also Rick Alvarez, who also worked for Hasbro for some time. There was Aaron Archer, who's also a toy designer, veteran toy designer. He also does a show with one of friends of the podcast, Proto Man.
Toy Armada.
Yeah, Toy Armada. And then I'll just also talk about really quickly the artists: Alex Milne, Casey Collar, Josh Bertram, Josh Perez, and Sarah Prey Ducher. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I apologize. And also we got 2 stuntmen. So Chris Zaragoza and John Carmichael. There are 2 stunt people that actually worked on the Transformers movies. They're locals to Orlando, and they said, "Hey, can we come down?" And they totally did, and they were super happy with the Q&A that they got to do. They're like, "Wow, people are asking really deep cuts and stuff, like, hey, in this scene, on this movie, on this scene, at this take, da 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 da," and then they're like, "Whoa." So like 2 like bona fide stuntmen were there, and they were super awesome, and just happy to see everybody there and just interact with everybody that were a part of everything. And it happened.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to ask you a question. I was going to, only because you mentioned it. I don't think it was at this convention, but you were saying that they auctioned off like a really super cool Transformer figure from a designer at a convention. Did they do anything similar this year or at this one to raise money? And were there any cool designs again?
No. Usually, the charity auction is reserved for TFCon Toronto, and for the US shows that's not normally done. So there was still people that kind of showed off various things. Either there was also like third-party toys that were being shown off, and like we were seeing like prototypes and stuff like that, and new there's also exclusives to this particular show and stuff like that. So it happened from let me get my dates here right, from the 20th till the 22nd. On the Saturday and the Sunday, the 21st and the 22nd are usually the main parts of the show. On Friday, I think, was it Friday or no? No, it's the end of Saturday. I think they also have the cosplay contest, and people come out and show up in force and really have really awesome, amazing costumes. Somebody made this hammer from Transformers Prime, and it was huge, like basically like like it was the size of a human, and it was like very lightweight to pick up. People dressed up as Optimus Prime and various other characters from the series, or not made up characters, but like more characters that are like, oh, if this character looked more like a human, they would look like this, and that kind of stuff. So like the costume contest there was a lot of people. Like I was told that they had ran out of forms to let people into the costume contest. So it was a lot of people, and it went really well. I think on the Saturday night they showed the Transformers movie from 2007, so the first Michael Bay movie, because they're able to get the rights. And sadly, the rights for the animated movie are kind of up in the air all over the place. Like the rights to actually screen it, somewhere is a little bit in a weird cloudy area, so not really able to do that. And I was told that the screening for that was done really well, because the screening for that went really well because people were quoting different scenes and stuff and quoting different lines, like when Tyrese is telling the guy to get his clip, his clip, and he's like, no, left cheek, left. People are like yelling that at the same time. So I think like Transformers the movie, the first Bay movie, is starting to become like a midnight movie almost, where people are quoting it, people are yelling everything at the same time, and just getting into it at the same time, kind of thing.
As long as the other two or any of the others do that, I'm okay with that. The first one being a midnight movie, I'm down, but good Lord, if Revenge ever took off, I would be like, shame on all of you.
What's that term mean? Midnight movie?
It's like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where like you interact with the movie, they do midnight screenings, you dress up in costumes, you sing along. Everyone's in on the party, as opposed to like if you go to a movie and people start doing that and you're like, shut up.
You're like, shh.
Like whipping stuff at some guy because he's singing along. Yeah.
Like I think like you kind of get that vibe when you go see a kung fu movie where like just and you're at like Fantasia or something like
Yeah.
that, and you're watching a kung fu movie, and then the fight scene finishes, everyone cheers like
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, so it was pretty crazy. It was fun, well attended, like stuff sold out and everything. So
well, you've been going to these conventions for a while. I mean, obviously with the pandemic, things have slowed down. Do you feel like all of them have gotten back up to about the same numbers as they were getting before? Are they surpassing, or are they still looking quite a bit lower than they were pre-pandemic?
I think they're getting back up there. I think everyone's getting a little bit more comfortable. They're coming back out again. Sadly, COVID is still a thing. But you know, everyone just has to like, everyone has to kind of, you know, be mindful and, you know, make sure you're not, you know, passing it on to other people, and, you know, if get yourself tested. Cause you know, a lot of the voice actors that we had, you know, they're getting up at an age, they're in their 70s, you know, and we want them to be around us for as long as possible, you know. So it's just a personal responsibility thing that's super important, you know.
Yeah, very important. Numbers are still high, folks. I'm not telling people to lock it down like we did in the past, but if you guys can wear a mask, it's a very simple thing. Like the meme says, if no one wears pants and everyone pees on each other, we all get covered in urine. But if I wear pants and you wear pants and we both pee, no one gets covered in urine. It's a weird analogy. Yeah, it's a weird analogy, but you know, it kind of works when you're trying to explain to people how it works. You know, like
it's very true. It's not true.
Yeah. Do with it what you will, but it is what it is. Cool, man.
Oh, just to finish up, the next one is supposed to be Baltimore. Well, the next one in the States is going to be Baltimore in and from November 1st to November 3rd, 2024.
Wait. So they move it around. It's not in the same city in the States.
Yeah, in the States it moves around, but in Toronto it's usually in the same spot. It's usually the same.
So Baltimore, November 2024. People should prep, start paying attention.
And then the next one coming up immediately is March 8th to 10th, 2024 in Los Angeles.
Oh,
that one's going to be a Transformers Generation 1 reunion celebrating 40 years anniversary of Transformers.
How many TF cons do they do a year?
3. So one in the summer in Toronto, and then one in the spring in the US, and another one in fall in the US.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So folks, if you're a Transformers fan, if you want to get your action figure game up, if you want to get your what are they called when they're made by outside of Hasbro? The
third
party figure game. I have a few third parties myself that I got over the years. Like the Batman that's over here is a third party. And I have an extra one actually that I gotta sell it. So I gotta try and sell at some point. But yeah, third party stuff is always nice. Those guys tend to really like you. Usually, it's rare, I would imagine, that you get a bad one because these people are usually really big fans of Transformers and are only making these figures because they either don't see one that looks exactly like it. Or they love it so much that they're just like, even if there's 101 versions already, they would love to pay homage by doing their own version. So usually the quality is really up there. They are a little more pricey, but I can say with this Batman one that I have, worth it. I do love this one. So check it out. I've been listening to a audio experience like no other. I just want to give a shout out to Brennan Lee Mulligan, Lou Wilson, Erica Ishii, and I always feel like I know I always mispronounce her name. Abria, and oh my god, I know I'm gonna say it wrong. It's Abria. Come on, how do you say it? I know her first name's Abria, but I know I always mess up her name, so I'm always just like Ambergard? Abria? I think that's how you say it. I feel bad saying that, but so be it. Abria Iyengar. That's how you say it. because I always think it's 2 A's, but the 2 A's are in her first name. Apologies to Abria Iyengar. So they started, if you guys recognize those names, you might know them from Critical Role. You might know them from Dimension 20. They do a lot of D&D live play type games. Lou Wilson was also the voice on the introduction voice on Jimmy Kimmel. Erika Ishii has been a voice actor in a bunch of video games. And Brennan Lee Mulligan has been doing stuff with College Humor and Dropout for years. And Abria Iyengar, I first saw her on Critical Role myself. I hadn't seen her on something before that. If she's done other stuff, my apologies for not knowing it, but she's pretty awesome. And they got together. They love D&D, and they are doing a live role-playing series that is fantastic. If you guys are looking for something that's super interesting and they really like to take the interest of the fans and kind of like do other one-shots and stuff like that, which is really fun. It's super fun. This main story that they're doing right now that is set in this really cool world with I think it's called the Wizard, the Witch, and the Wild One. 3 great characters going through what is a far more grounded world. Because a lot of times when you're playing D&D, it's a fantasy role-playing game, so people like to just get a little crazy with it. But Brendan, as the game master, is really holding their feet to the fire, and kind of like there's like times where they do the usual silly stuff you do in a D&D game, where it's just like I pretend to be a pregnant woman and we try and get past the guards. And Brennan was just like, I also pay for the Patreon, so I get to listen to the Fireside Chats, which is their post game talk back. And he explained, I want to give in when you guys start to do the bits, but at the same time, we're planning to do 100 episodes in this world. And if I establish that these guys are morons this early on, then I have to play them as morons for 100 episodes. So I really have to, and I'm paraphrasing, he doesn't actually say it that way, but essentially the idea is I want to keep them more grounded so that we can tell this story in a better way. Not that we can't have fun, but the guards are going to question why a pregnant woman and her brother are running into a quarantined area at 3:00 in the morning. And I was just like, yeah, that seems fair. I think anyone, first of all, you don't even have to be pregnant for me to wonder, why are you running into a quarantined area at 3:00 in the morning? Let alone adding in pregnancy, which made it even more ridiculous.
Makes it awkward.
Dude, it was great. And then at one point, Abria's character rolls to performance so she could cry. So she could see if she could convince the guard. And I get it. She's doing the bits. It's funny when you're listening to it. It's hilarious. But Brennan's character is kind of like he was playing the guard. And as the guard, he's just like, yeah, I know. Ma'am, this is a quarantined area. I can't let you run off as a pregnant woman into a quarantine area. It would not be good to do that, no matter what. Even if she got a great role on performance or intimidation, Brennan was keeping the character grounded enough that, yes, the character might be intimidated, might be scared, but was ultimately still going to try and protect this pregnant woman from herself. And it's stuff like that that makes the show really fun to listen to. And and by the way, it's available for free to listen to on anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you want to listen to the Fireside Chats, which are the talkback shows after the episodes, that's where you can pay for the Patreon. I think it's $7 or something. I signed up for it because I love those guys on Dimension 20 and all the other stuff that they've done. And on top of that, at the time, I don't know if it's still true, but they were the fastest grossing Patreon. At one point, yeah, because they announced it, and within 24 hours, they had raised some insane amount of money. They had set a goal that if they got us to a certain threshold, they would add more one shots. And I guess the fans were so ravenous for the idea of them doing silly one shots that they did. So, supposedly, I didn't listen to the one shot, but I do know based on a Fireshat comment that in one of the one shots, Brendan Lee Mulligan plays a chicken who pulls a cannon out of his cloaca. And just hearing him say that, I was just like, well, no wonder the fans wanted this. That is an insane thing to say out loud, and enjoy. So yeah. So World Beyond Numbers is the podcast. Go check it out. And yeah, Dave, you're going to talk about the dumbest people in the world.
He's no longer there, right? So it's not. You can't hate on that.
Van Harmon's still there. What do you mean? It's Justin.
Oh, well, whatever. So yeah, Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
Watch the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Did anyone else here watch the first?
I watched them.
Okay.
You know me. I like to punish myself with stupid stories.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I think the writing is still the same without him there. I think the stories are still like they're Rick and Morty stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not. And I actually think the first 2 stories, although like no direction of like an overall story, which is maybe that is something that's not like compared to like
like a through line, like there's something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like,
I think aren't they still playing up the idea that Rick is still hunting for that dude?
Well, that's the thing. They kind of like that's how it ended last season, right?
But he mentions it in the first episode. But you're right, they didn't.
But like they don't like double down on it at all, or put little breadcrumbs, which maybe for all they have over the years have gotten better at like showing you later on that things that you may have seen were breadcrumbs that you didn't know because it was so in the background, right?
Right.
So I was just happy to see that like the episodes were. I thought these 2 episodes were like relatively good episodes written wise. Like they're not bad episodes. Maybe not the best episodes.
I like the second one a lot. I didn't like the first one.
Yeah, like the one. Yeah, the one where it's they're like they switch their minds and whatnot. And then I was like, that was pretty good.
Yes, Jerry, Rick. For those of you who haven't seen it, Rick and Jerry switch their minds, which leads to some insane stuff. There's a suicide immediately from the moment. It's just like, what is happening? It's
just.
Dude, when you're watching, honestly, when I was so confused because I didn't know whose mind was in whose brain and whose body. So the fact that happens, I was like, wait, who just killed themselves?
That's the thing. I shit you not. I rewinded it to rewatch it, and I'm like, okay, Rick just hates his decision so much,
right?
And he doesn't even want to live to the point
of
he doesn't want to live in this reality because he's hoping that because he clearly knew that robot was going to come and fix them, right?
I hope.
So, like, in his mind, maybe he was like, oh, the robot's going to come and, like, put me back. And then he's like, no! Like, I'm still in his body.
Dude, wild way to start an episode, but as usual.
But, can I ask you?
Sure.
What was your thought about the guy who was essentially mimicking the voices?
Well, so it's 2 guys. It's 2 actors.
Okay, I didn't realize it was 2 actors.
Yeah, it's 2 voice actors. One doing Rick, one doing Morty. I think the Rick voice is better than the Morty voice, but the way you can explain the Morty voice is Morty's getting older because that guy has a slightly deeper delivery than Justin did for Morty.
But I also, because I found the same for both personally. The first time I watched it, I was like, both of them, I'm like, you're not able to get that like higher.
Yeah,
like, you sound the same, but you sound like you have a bass tone behind every word you're saying.
Yes.
But I found like once you watch, like, because the first time I watched, like the first episode I watched, I was like, it was so fixated in my mind because I was like, you're used to something.
Of course. Yeah.
But by the time I watched the second episode, I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad
at all.
I think they actually do a pretty good job. It took, like I said, it took like a bit of going through it because to a certain degree you're accustomed to it, right? And I think it also helps that like it's all the extra voices they would do because they for sure did extra voices of like random characters, right? But that will never matter,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's really just like they're just lucky. It's like example, if you were doing South Park or if you were doing Family Guy and one of the guys from South Park left or the Seth MacFarlane left Family Guy, it's like well, you do too many voices. It would be impossible to like make up all of them. Right. But because of how they were using him and all the other characters being so random,
it didn't
like,
matter.
Yeah, it's like as long as you nail these 2, we find the other voices.
Right. Yeah, because Seth MacFarlane is doing background characters who come back often. Yeah. Whereas with Rick and Morty, because they're in different galaxies, different dimensions regularly, it doesn't matter because some different dimensional version of this character can have a different voice, and we're all like, sure, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's because they're a one shot per season, let's say.
Right.
Like example, the president. Let's say he was doing the president's voice.
Keith David.
Yeah. Like I know it's another guy, but let's suggest because I can't think of another recurring
sure
guy. let's say that he was doing that voice. It's like, okay, yeah, but like you're there for one episode. Like, people aren't, it's not like you're having a consistency with these characters so often where it's like, if you do Seth MacFarlane, for example, it's like you have 3 family members, I believe also Quagmire, and you have like a few other like notables, right? So it's.
Oh, wait, dude. How did you like Mr. Poopy Butthole's voice then?
I was going to say, I actually didn't find his affected at all.
Right,
That's the thing I thought.
And that's a new voice actor. I didn't realize that.
I thought that person did it like, because don't get me wrong, I was going to say like the one shot, because I bet they did also, he did other characters that were shown in the first episode too, because you had a lot of callback characters, but because they had small parts with the exception of Mr. Poopy Butthole, that person just did a good job.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, you can make it by, because like again, even with Rick and Morty's voice, again, it was just like, it sounded like there was just like a after they spoke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like they did a really good job. It's just like how they were. I don't know how to describe it. I bet there's a word for what I'm describing, but I don't know.
No, that's fine. I mean, as someone who did audio engineering, it did sound when I was listening to it like they had EQ'd the bass. It's like as if they added a little more EQ to the bass in their voices.
Exactly.
But I feel like that's just their natural delivery. So, but yeah, no, I'm looking at some of the reoccurring guests, and I don't think Justin did as many of the reoccurring as we thought. Mr. Meeksies and Poopy Butthole are 2, but like some of them are just like one shots. Whereas like Dan Harmon is Bird Person, and Casey Steele is Tammy Guterman, who is like the love interest for Bird Person.
Yeah, Bird Person. Yeah.
Which Dan Harmon obviously wants a girl who played a teenager on to be his partner, but that's a whole other conversation. And then I saw you wrote. Sorry.
I was gonna say, needless to say, I thought it was a good first 2 episodes, and the voices they didn't do so bad. And I was gonna I think you were gonna give me the alley loop, but I'm gonna steal it from you. Also started watching Loki 2 season 2.
How are you feeling? Because I am like confused by if I like it or not.
The word confused is you know what it is? Because I don't know if you also realize this. They made an announcement that apparently Disney's going to go for less of a like this is just a 6-episode mini to like apparently doing regular seasons, like long seasons. So I'm like, is this a show that you maybe had an initial plan, and now because you guys are changing that, the plan is changing?
Well, I mean, we should be concerned. I don't know if we mentioned it. I don't think we even mentioned it because we haven't done a show since. But Daredevil, the 18-episode run, they did the first 9 episodes, saw what they were looking at, and scrapped it. And a lot of people were saying behind the scenes, one of the major issues with how Marvel and Disney were making series is they didn't have showrunners. They were producing these all the same way they make the movies, where you have kind of the studio exec is overarching vision, Feige and whoever he's delegating to has this vision for how these stories are supposed to go. And then you have different directors and writers work on different things that you then try and cobble together, and you fix in post where you record. And people are just like, wait, that's how you've been making these Marvel shows? That's a horrible way to make a TV show. So supposedly Disney has now backed away from that. Disney has backed away completely from that, and they're now going to be going to a traditional structure of doing showrunners, which, funny enough, is what the people on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were saying the first time. You could still do our show and mix it with the MCU and have a showrunner. You just have to communicate with us what's going on. And the MCU didn't like to communicate anything. And because the guy at ABC and Feige and those guys didn't want to communicate, they wouldn't connect them. But now you're essentially going to do the same business model. You're going to end up doing showrunners and everything. And you're going to have separate TV execs that that answer to Feige maybe, but are managing the TV division separate from the movie division.
Wow.
This is all the stuff people have been saying the whole time. This is how you're supposed to make TV shows. So I don't know, man. So that's why when you're right, when I see Loki, I'm just like, hopefully Loki I think Loki was made early enough that it's not affected by this stuff. But at the same time, I am getting a weird sense when I'm watching this show of like, what's the vibe here?
But the showrunner, and again, sorry, I just want to make sure showrunner is the guy who just keeps the vision of whatever the show's supposed to be.
Yeah, the showrunner is the type of person that should have like the show Bible with them and the idea of what they want to do for that season. So, you know, if you're the guy who created Cheers, you wrote a show Bible and you got a great director to do the first episode. The director set the tone. You as the show creator created this thing, and maybe you're the showrunner. Sometimes the people who create the shows aren't necessarily a showrunner. And then you create that. And then each season, you know, hopefully if you have a good relationship with the network, you continue on as a showrunner. Sometimes they bring in different people, but that person essentially has the tome of all the things that these characters should do, the rules and the regulations and the framing of who they are and their personalities. And then you know, they have the idea of what the season should be. And, you know, showrunners used to do 24 episode seasons of stuff. Like these were people who were overseeing multiple scripts being written throughout seasons. Like, they had the vision. They're the person that kept all that in line. But if you're doing what Feige and those guys were doing, where you're doing like you have different directors directing different episodes and different writers writing different episodes of a show,
that doesn't work.
The showrunner is not there to oversee the through line for the whole thing. There's just the idea that like Daredevil does this at the beginning and he does this at the end, and we have to get the point A to point B. But someone should make sure that, you know, what he did in A1 it makes sense with what he does in A7 right before he got to B, because if there's no connection, you're like, this is a disjointed mess.
Yeah,
right.
But I will say that season 2 of Loki so far has been entertaining. Like it's been interesting, but again, I feel, and maybe it's also by design, they are keeping you a little lost.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe that's what it is. That's a good point. You know, maybe it's intentional Loki to keep us lost.
Yeah, because if you knew what was going to happen, then it makes this story not as cool, right? Because the whole thing is that the timeline is completely fucked up.
Oh yeah,
there's only so many ways to fix it, and are we like, you know, they give you enough so it's like, okay, I could see the direction of where we're like, it's kind of like you're following the mission, but there's no way to really determine what's going to happen, because since they're in a time/multiverse paradox scenario at all times, it's like anything could hypothetically happen.
And also the fact that they're not using numbers is something that's bothering me a little bit with the multiverse. Not because, like, if you don't want to use numbers, that's fine, but you keep referring to the sacred timeline and then the branches, and I'm like, what makes this the sacred timeline? Like, what is special about this one? Why is this one prime? Do you feel they explained that yet, or do you feel like it's something that we're gonna learn later? Because
I don't think they've explained that yet. But did you notice one? I wanted to ask a question about inconsistencies, because we were talking about consistencies with the movies and the TV shows. When in the movies they say if you go and you change something, it's just changed, whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is. There's no going back and changing something now because it's happened.
Right.
And then they go and the guy writes something in a book or whatever, and then all of a sudden the OB guy knows it. And I'm like, that's bullcrap. I'm like, you guys have literally gone out of your way that Back to the Future rules don't apply here. And that's Back to the Future. I
will say, though, the way they can get around that one is saying that the TVA is outside of time.
Oh, I agree. And I thought of that. I did think of that. But I was there. I'm like, I would appreciate acknowledgement because, like,
100%.
I don't want. This is not something I want to be confused about. Like, because I was already upset of having to accept. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me if I go back and I like kill someone, they're still here? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But
right?
Sure.
Yeah. So they wouldn't exist in the separate timeline you've created from their death.
Yeah,
but they would exist.
But if you go back to where you like, I cannot leave here, go back and like,
you can't kill Hitler.
I can't go kill Hitler, come back here and kill Hitler's never happened.
Right.
That's not.
But you would have politely created a timeline in which he does not exist.
Where hopefully it's Mardi Gras everywhere. World. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. That hopefully it's just a better world, you know. So. Yeah, I mean, you know, especially with the TVA, because it's and this is one of the things that I will give credit to fuck Dan Harmon, but you know, one of the rules that he said for Rick and Morty is they'll never do time travel because he doesn't like the idea that time travel can just fix everything. And I like the fact that in the MCU, time travel doesn't fix everything. It specifically makes the point that you go back and you do this thing, but it doesn't actually create new timelines. It doesn't fix your timeline. You're creating branches. What you need to do is go into your timeline, fix the thing, come back, do your thing, then go back and put things back the way they were, so that you can leave your timeline as is, and fix whatever you needed to fix. But hey, for all we know, Don Cheadle is a Skrull the whole time, which is what we're finding out. Rhodey was a Skrull. So when
that happened.
Well, Rhodey has that conversation in the movie. Oh, sorry, did you not know he was a Skrull?
No, I think the last time we talked about the show, we were trying to guess who's a Skrull, who wasn't a Skrull.
Oh, sorry.
So someone had it on their board. Someone won some money.
Yeah. The next up, Sharon Carter, Skrull. Like almost too obvious, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Gotta be a Skrull.
Yeah, 100%.
What about Elaine?
No. Valentina, I think that's still a guess, right? We're still guessing she might be, but we're not 100% sure.
I don't think she is.
Okay.
I don't think so, because I feel if that were true, her interactions with
Everett Ross.
Is that's the British or the
Martin Freeman.
Yeah, exactly. Her interactions with him would not be the same.
Yes, you're right.
She would have picked up,
but we don't know how long
they would. That's true, but I still feel like there would have been interactions where either A, she would have figured it out, or B, we would have figured out that, well, they obviously are both Skrulls. By now it would have been a thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, adding the Skrulls into this makes, because that's, it's funny enough, I don't know if Loki's going to touch on it, but are there Skrulls in Loki?
I mean, that's just taking variants. I feel like if you were to have the Skrull in the TVA, it'd just be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Mobius is a Skrull. There you go. Whatever.
Oh, Jesus. That would be an unfortunate.
That's possible.
That would be hilarious.
Crazy. Yeah.
They picked him out. The reason why he's a Skrull and he keeps thinking of a Ski-Doo is because that's the image that the Skrull took. And he just has that in his head. And then they're just like, yoink, you're not supposed to be here.
I would guess Renslayer, not a Skrull.
No, she's definitely like from the far future.
Yeah.
And that's why she's going to be pissed.
Right.
They said that to her. They're like, you're going to be mad. He's going to tell you something.
Yeah. When you find
it's going to be like, yeah, so you're from the far future and I kind of plucked you, screwed up your life. And every time I bring you back, you die. Sorry.
Yeah. You die?
Yeah.
You're his daughter.
I guess that too. I did guess that she might be his kid.
Ew.
She's not trying to sleep with him. Miss Minutes is.
No, but like the whole story
not trying to hook up with him.
The whole story of Kang and Renslayer is that they're like, he loves her. Like that's why his whole thing is like, that's his wife, and throughout time they're just not meant to be together. But if they add,
or that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Their ex-wife.
If they add that on
the book, that's what you're saying in the comic.
Yeah, in the comics. But if by her handing him the TVA whole guide, if that ends up being like, oh yeah, I'm your mom's too, it's like, no.
Oh, hey.
That's a.
True.
I didn't know that was their backstory. My bad. I'm not for the incest of HBO, so let's avoid that if possible, please.
Yeah, no, they're super married. It's like Mr. Freeze's whole story with his wife, but like so much worse.
Oh, so yeah, they're just always out of sync, and he can never be with her.
No matter what, they're just not like either he dies or she dies, and it's not good.
All right, okay. Well, then my theory, because I was watching. I mean, it's not beyond the MCU to change that, but I see what you're saying, and it makes more sense to leave it as is.
Something so solid is why he would have a beef that big is that he's like the most evil Kang is because he could found someone that he's like, I can calm down, I'll settle down. Oh wait, you got what? Who killed?
Right,
an Avenger? Yeah.
Can we talk about creepiness of Miss Minute wanting to slang Mr.
That got weird so fast. That got weird.
Yo, that was so creepy.
You didn't think that was gonna happen?
Yeah.
I didn't think an AI would be in love
the second she started, how she was speaking and like commanding
Right,
her
I
the whole
mean,
time. I'm like,
obviously, once
she's clearly obsessed, and
Yes.
someone's gonna make a move, and it looks like it's gonna be her. This guy's lost.
I'll just tell you real quick. From my perspective, I understood it as she knows she needs to get him up and running. To get him up and running, she needs to have certain things fall into place at certain times. I didn't think it was that the AI is in love with him and wants him back the way he was. I just thought it was that the AI wants things back the way it was because the AI was part of a powerful dynasty. Instead, it's
Why
just like,
can't it be both?
well, it was, I mean, but her motivation is, why didn't you ever create me a robot body? I love you. It's like, whoa.
Because bitch, I'm not trying to fuck you. That's
Yeah.
why.
I don't know you. I haven't created you yet.
You're
Yeah,
a
that
cartoon
too.
ass clock.
Can you
See,
imagine?
that's the other thing. I would be a bit more concerned about him creating me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again,
he's your
who
dad.
knows with the rules of the time
Again,
travel, because it's all fucked now. You have no
HBO
idea how I'm gonna nitpick on any time they do time travel now in this show.
HBO style incest set to AI. Like, not what I thought I would be. 2023 on my checklist. AI incest was not on there. Okay.
But
mean you
likelihood
wait,
always
hold on.
was.
Brian, you need to tell me, knowing that where AI probably came from and the type of people, yes, I'm discriminating, the type of people that made AI,
The
you're
neckbeard?
thinking that these dudes were not thinking, oh, I'm a this at one point. Stop it.
God.
Stop it.
100%.
It's 900%
So,
for sex reasons.
Yeah,
and like,
dude,
come on.
I could get everything done myself and
Yeah.
exactly how I want it.
Exactly.
It's so sad when you guys remind me that we are depraved creatures.
No, we're not depraved creatures.
No,
We're
we're
greedy.
greedy.
People who make really cool stuff are.
The royal we, like humanity, is just a bunch of depraved creatures. We
Yeah.
have the power to create artificial intelligence in some way or form, or at least we're trying. And the very high likelihood is, and you are not wrong, these creepazoids are making it so they have sex box talks.
Yes.
It's not.
Jesus
It's to
Christ.
create the perfect woman for themselves, Brian.
Ugh.
Listen, and Dave,
Or
you're
man,
gonna, Dave and Wendell,
thing,
y'all
however
gonna
you
agree
do
with
it.
Weird
me.
science.
Yeah, thank you. Wendell. Right there.
No, guys, I get it. Again, we are depraved creatures. That's
No, this shit's been in place since weird science. You know how the motherfuckers think of an idea and then you have the one dumbass that's like, I'm gonna make that happen.
Oh
Like,
my
here you go. They made
Hollow
weird
death.
science. Here we are.
Do you remember that robot chicken? Ladies and gentlemen, I've created a robot. But can I fuck it?
Yeah,
No, boo, and everyone just leaves.
Is that the same robot that started banging the freaking dryer over and over and over again?
Oh God, it's so
Ding,
depressing.
ding, ding.
Can I F it?
All right.
So that's
Skinny.
what
Well, ladies and gentlemen, of the Evil People's League, I have created the most evil thing known to mankind: a robot that molests children.
Oh God.
What the hell? Why would you do that? Well, I thought that was the theme. I clearly won the evil, science contest. So I'm here for my prize.
Can we move on? All right, geek news and rumors.
Wendell with the
One of the
fire.
best SNL jokes.
Wow, Wendell.
I remember that sketch.
Yeah.
That's The Rock doing that.
Yeah, it's
bit.
The
That was
Rock.
so
I remember that was an unfortunate sketch. I don't know if anyone.
Hey man,
I'm gonna
that's-
search for this sketch later.
Unfortunate.
that is
sketch you
balls.
said.
That's King Kong balls on that sketch.
Because the thing is with SNL is there's the pre-update and the post-update, and the stuff post-update is like the wacky stuff, and
Yeah.
that had to be a post-update sketch.
Post updates like, oh shit, it's 1:45. Let's get this crazy.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody watching this shit.
We only have one thing in the geek news and rumors: hockey trailblazer Willie O'Ree to be honored with a new Canadian postage stamp. The first black player in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah,
Jackie
played for the Boston
Robinson.
Bruins.
Yep, Boston Bruins. Which I just want to add the caveat that he played for one of the most racist cities in the league. Like, I don't say that lightly. If you guys watch the show Winning Time, when you see Magic Johnson and them dudes playing against Boston, some of the things they say to them when they lose, you're just like, oh yeah, Boston be racist. Boston be racist. Shout outs to Will. Like, Willie must have gone through some shit, but kudos to him for doing it.
I think he is currently the ambassador for the NHL for getting just the new generation into playing hockey.
Mm.
Other stuff he's done. He was also in an episode of Everybody Hates Chris as an
Okay.
old black man, kind of schooling them on all the hockey players in the NHL up until the 80s kind of thing. And they also had Weeks, not a, I don't think he was I guess he was a modern goalie, but I don't think he was playing at the time when they recorded that.
Okay.
So I think the episode was Chris and his younger brother go to see if they can get an autograph by Wayne Gretzky, or go to see Wayne Gretzky, and ended up, I think, getting a hockey puck autograph and stuff. And then their neighborhood thinks that they went missing.
Oh, Jesus.
Terrible.
So yeah.
Yeah. Guys, fantastic time as per usual. Anything else you guys want to tell the people before we sign off this week?
I want to give a special shout out to Spider-Man 2. That game's sick.
Yo, yeah, you're already playing it?
I bet, yeah. I'm taking my time. Some of you crazy people out here like, I beat it in the weekend. Good for you. You spent $100 for what? I don't understand.
Dude,
I'm old. I'm savoring that. You can see me playing this.
People are posting walkthroughs with 10 hours of gameplay already. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys.
People are weird. A special shout out to Working Moms season 7. A CBC show has no reason being that good.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was Ghostbusters creator's daughter. Cool.
Yes, Ivan. The sister, right?
Yeah, no idea. She had lip work done, but it's cool.
So clearly, what you have to do is get a nepo baby, give them a CBC show, profit.
Yeah. And it's raw. Like, this show is very raw. They swear a lot. Good show.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Working Moms is a show that I watched a bunch of the first season, and I was just like, yo, this is actually really good. I just didn't get back on it, but yeah, definitely worth checking out. That's the whole show, you crazy kid.
I would like to shout out Transformer Slag Podcast,
right,
and the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer.
There you go.
I'm gonna do an anti shout out. Fuck you to the guy who stole my fucking water ball at work today.
Wow, you're having a week. Did you tell them about your car crash, dude?
No, don't even get me started. We can talk about that after.
No, we're gonna.
There we go.
Peace, everybody. Try and find some light in this crazy dark shit. There you go. Peace out.